Welcome back, everyone. If this is your first time here, though, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all that jazz.
Turn the notification bell on.
Yeah, do all that. It's all free. It helps out the channel a lot. But this is another found footage where you get to witness literally probably the two greatest light skins to ever touch this planet.
Just yap
and review a movie. This one being a very anticipated one. Inside Out 2. Well, I guess it's anticipated because the first one was amazing. The first one, I still remember it being.
I don't even know how much money the first one made, but
it made like over 800 million.
Okay, that's crazy. But
it was.
I just know everybody loved it. Yeah. And all I know is that everybody loving this one, and everybody's at the freaking theater for this one. Like, it was so hard to get tickets. I was genuinely shocked.
The opening for this was pretty crazy. It was like well over 200 million domestically, I'm pretty sure. We're
looking at
crazy.
an all-timer right now.
Yeah, it's I mean, we're gonna give you guys our thoughts, but if you guys have seen it too, place your thoughts in the comments below.
Do you like
discussing with
number
you guys.
2 or number 1 better?
Yeah, anything. Give us your thoughts on Inside Out 1 if you haven't seen the second. If you have,
rank the Pixar movies.
Let us know. Just no spoilers at least, because there are some people that probably haven't got to see. But we saw this weekend.
Yeah, almost didn't because the tickets were so bad.
Yeah, they were really. I mean, the parents rolled deep with their kids. Man, like
them kids,
they rolled deep, bro. What do you think of the movie? They be getting
spoiled, but yeah, I thought Inside Out 2 was great. Really instantly like another Pixar classic. When you compare it to Inside Out 1, there's some things that work better than the first movie, and there's some things that don't work as good as the first movie. So it's kind of a little trade-off, but
definitely
overall, like, I think it still kept the same energy that the first movie had, the same cleverness that the first movie had. Not as emotional and really dramatic as the first one, but there are sequences like that. They just don't hit the same as the first one. But yeah, Inside Out 2 was a great movie overall. Like instantly just watching it, you just know like it's another Pixar classic.
It's definitely Pixar kind of back in form. They've been really rocky recently. They've had a couple bangers. Obviously, you got stuff like Soul. I really loved Luca for what it was. And a lot of people turned out for Turning Red, even though I was not the biggest fan of that movie. But I mean, it's been kind of an up and down slope. We had stuff like Lightyear. Was that last year? Man, that was really disappointing. I was so hyped for that movie. In the wind. And then it came out and it just died immediately. And then Elemental, that's what they dropped last year. It doesn't even feel like they dropped anything last year. That's how kind of like under the radar, and I don't want to say forgettable, but just they didn't leave that Pixar impact. I think Pixar had this stretch from like 95 to like 2018 where they were just hitting. They were making stories
every year
that,
there's at least one banger.
Yeah, they were making stories that resonated with pretty much any sort of age range. Stuff like, for example, like Finding Nemo, you got both a dad looking for his child and the child getting separated from his parents. It's like that resonates with like such a huge demographic, and I think now they've kind of went in like and kind of sectioned that out where stuff like Turning Red is not gonna resonate with the parent at all, because I mean the parent's literally like the villain in that movie. Like, it doesn't feel as true to form, and this is like as close. Inside Out 2 is like as close as we've gotten since like Soul, maybe. Like, I loved Luca, but like this was like theatrical wise, them like really
Inside
showing.
Out 2 is it's definitely like putting Pixar back where it has been. I mean, you look at, the audience I was with, obviously it's gonna be mainly kids, and in the theater the kids are having like a great time with it, and at the same time it's not just the kids. Like, literally me and my 2 brothers went. Literally none of us are under the age of 20. Yeah. Like, and it was just us, and we all love the movie. So it's just like, it just goes to show that like it's reaching those broad audiences, which is like that's really back in classic Pixar form. Like, that was what Pixar at the peak of their the movies that they were making. Loved him. It had such a broad appeal, and everybody was going to the movies, flocking to the movies for him. And like Inside Out 2 is no different. It's very reminiscent of the first one, but it still stands on its own, in both the story way and just the fact that it was released almost nearly a decade after the first one, and nobody's really gonna, think about the first one, when it comes to Inside Out 2. Like, they're not gonna rush to rewatch the first one because Inside Out 2 is coming. They're just gonna watch it because they remember Inside Out 1. And yeah, for that reason, like the movie, it doesn't feel as much like a sequel. You know what I mean? It just feels more like a standalone.
You could watch this
like movie
without watching the first, but obviously, as with any kind of loose sequel, you won't appreciate it as much.
Yeah.
But what were like the positives for you, or at least like things that you might consider this did better than the first movie?
Now, when I walked out the theater, I said that I thought the first movie was funnier, but after letting it simmer, letting it sit, I would definitely say that the second one actually does the comedic bits a little bit better than the first one. Even though the first one does it pretty good, I feel like the second one, there's more of a variety with the comedic bits. And
there's just not that many memorable jokes in the first one. I can't remember one. I know there's one that Anger does, but like I forget what it was. It was a very meta joke, but like that's like the only joke that really.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff memorable in the second one that
visual
again, they take the cleverness from all the emotions and make jokes out of that in the first one, but the second one there's other jokes. It's not just that. It's not just the emotions, and I think that's where the movie like earns some points and like is funnier than the first one, because you have some jokes in there that directly relate to like an audience member over the age of like 30.
Yeah.
And like there's some that are like for my audience.
And for
like
kids.
Yeah, and some that are for kids. There's plenty of like good comedic bits to go around.
Even the visual gags, I will say, obviously, as expected with a movie that's coming out years later, the animation is better.
Yeah.
But I think what really
it still stays true to the first movie, though.
Definitely. It's just obviously more like, I don't even want to say rendered, but the quality is just more high. There's just more pixelation.
Yeah.
And I will say, like things like the amount of visual gags in this movie is so good. Like they really make use of the characters and animating them in a way where sometimes it's used for comedic relief with like some physical humor. And like I only remember that a little bit in the first, particularly with Fear, which I want to talk about because I think Fear was like the only one in this movie that felt pretty hollow. And I think it's because I just found out Bill Hader did not come back to do Fear.
Oh, really?
And you can feel when you take Bill Hader off of a project, come on, that's like making a Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball sequel without Bill Hader. Like you just it doesn't work the same. And Bill Hader obviously had a lot of input in that first movie.
I mean,
with
Fear
like the
has his
script
fair share of
and the
sequences.
Design of the character. Bill Hader did a lot of work for that character, and it really sucks that he didn't come back. I don't know why, but
I would say with the limited sequences that Fear has, he does have some good moments.
It's solid. It's nothing bad. It's just like the impact isn't quite there. Discussed. I will say she's recast as well, but she was great. She was so good in this movie. She was honestly arguably better in this movie than the first. I will say the one thing that I preferred discussed in the first was like her timing was a lot better in that first movie. That might just because it was played by an actual comedian. Like there was just like timing things.
Obviously,
with the
sadness,
but
joy.
Sadness is an MVP.
It doesn't really need to speak
so
for itself.
much.
Sadness has always been the GOAT. You feel me? Like Sadness has always reigned supreme.
Sure.
She's the LeBron of Inside Out universe.
Yeah, I think this movie like isn't as overall consistent as the first one.
No, there's some points that lose.
But I think it does do some things better. For example, like we said, the jokes hit more, the animation better. I think Riley's story is infinitely better in this second one. There's a lot more attention to what's going on in her. It's almost like it's literally the main plot of the movie. When in the first movie, the emotions were the main plot. But I mean, you got new characters like anxiety, envy, is it ennui, and then embarrassment, which all of them were fantastic additions. I'm glad they introduced new ones, because one of my issues with the first one was like we got
the
more
emotions
than like 4
yeah,
or
it kind of
5.
makes sense for Riley's story, obviously,
especially
you know, being that these are the new emotions she's getting. It makes sense, you know, not to be like a 6-year-old with anxiety, you know, because at that point, like, you're just really just having fun and taking every day just as a day. But yeah, the new emotions, anxious, played by Maya Hawke.
Anxiety.
I mean, anxious.
Yeah,
anxiety.
That might as well be the same thing, though.
Yeah, but played by Maya Hawke, she was pretty good, and they gave her a lot to work with.
They did some really cool animation with her.
Yeah,
with that character specifically. There's a moment. All I'm gonna say is cans. Amazing. There's another moment at the end. All I'm gonna say is tornado. That was amazing. I was like everything that was happening there. I was genuinely like, this is really creative and like actually fresh and just really 100%. Cool stuff with her character.
Yeah, and then the addition of 𝙎𝙬𝙆𝙀𝙆.
Oh, 𝙎𝙬𝙆𝙆 is envy.
Yeah, it's envy.
Was a delight.
She was so good.
Just
I mean,
amazing.
Honestly, petition to have 𝙎𝙬𝙆𝙆 do some voice acting.
Literally, she was on more movies. She was hilarious.
She's got that. She's
got so much energy.
In my opinion, she's got that like Haley Steinfeld effect, where it's like, you know, you don't realize how good she is at voice acting until you know that's her, until you hear it and see it. And dude, I could see 𝙎𝙬𝙆𝙆 doing so much more voice acting. Like honestly, I could see that. I could see the way some voice actresses are, you know, known for their voice acting roles. I could honestly see 𝙎𝙬𝙆𝙆 doing that. But yeah, Maya Hawke and 𝙎𝙬𝙆𝙆 were like great additions to the emotions.
And then you got like ennui, which was hilarious. Every time she got like a moment, it really hit the mark. Like really did. I don't think there was a moment where like her character never hit the spot. Like anytime they used her, it was for like levity or comedic effect. And even when it wasn't, it was effective. And then embarrassment, he didn't even have to say nothing, just got the big schnauzer popping out of the jacket. It was hilarious every time. But like, what would you say weren't so high on your radar coming out of the theater?
Well, the pacing was a little too fast for me. Yeah, like it just.
Which the first one is, but this one
the first
chops it up, really.
This one, because you have the added character of anxiety, there's a bit more of like an energetic like pace to the movie and overall feel to it. So the moments that they slow down, because the pace is so fast, like a halt. Yeah, they feel so slow. Halt. Yeah, and there just isn't as much emotion.
Yeah, the punch in the gut isn't quite as like just raw as that first one. That first one really hits you in the feels.
I mean, and for a long time, I mean, it just wrecks you and just leaves you in a state like just that for like Baby like Riley. Half of the movie.
It just makes like brings a tear to your eye and see like it really reminds you of the innocence of childhood and stuff like that. It just hits. But this one is very, very relatable as well. I love this one. Like
I feel like the emotional core for this movie would hit more for the teenage girl audience, whereas the first one I feel like all of us can relate to, because especially especially people that either one have kids, have younger siblings or younger relatives that you know they can just see that. What they were, like the innocence that they were and stuff like that. Like I feel like that's why the first one kind of hits you in the feels more. It has a bit more appeal to just about any audience member. But yeah, I would say aside from that, a few slower moments.
Yeah, very minor gripes. This is like
it's still a really good movie.
Definitely their best work since Soul, I would say. Yeah, like this is Pixar. Like this is what you would get of Pixar in prime time form, pretty much. Like this is it. I mean, I guess we'll rate it. What would you give it? I'd say see it on the big screen.
I'd say see it on the big.
I don't think I gotta say it because a bunch of people are already.
Yeah, just about everybody.
I'd say is seeing this on the big screen. If you have the option to go watch this with family, especially, I don't think you'd regret it. It's quick. It's literally like the same exact runtime as the first movie. Flies by. And you get some good laughs, you get some heartstrings pulled, and you overall just have a great time. I just want
to say before you know, this video is ending, that there is one sequence in particular in this movie with two or three characters that aren't emotions. And it's one of the funniest.
They do some funny things with the animation
that I've seen in animation.
It's really good. It's in the trailers. It's in the trailers, but
it is such a good scene. And I just want to say that for that scene alone, I would go watch this movie. Like,
yeah,
honestly,
that the theater
so
like
good.
Erupting in laughter.
It's so good.
But if you guys made it this far, please hit the like button, subscribe, click the bell, all that stuff. Helps out the channel a ton. Make sure to leave any comments below. We love discussing with you guys. Tell us what you guys thought about this or the first movie or just your favorite Pixar movies. We love discussing with you guys. But this has been Found Footage. It's been your boy Keezy.
Big Boy Kills.
And that's all, folks.
Is he allowed to say that legally?